Yeah, what up, what up? It's Dave Noodlez. We are on Type 88. I got a special guest with me today. He is living proof that you could have a PhD and be an MC. And this guy's been all over. He he's gonna share his story today with you. He got a lot going on, from running a business to a new album to so many different things, being out there in the community. So I just want to welcome my friend Quis Chandler to the Type 88 show. What's up, man?
All right, what's going on, Noodles? Thanks for having me, man. Definitely grateful, that we have platforms like this that, we can continue to keep the mission going. So, I'm just happy to be here.
Of course, man. And of course, I know you, speaking of platforms, I know you're part of a really dope crew and platform yourself. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about True N Livin and how you guys get busy.
Okay. So with, True N Livin LLC, is actually something that is an event production company that we started in 2018. And mainly because I was living in Baltimore, Maryland for a little bit when I was, doing my schooling. And when I left Jersey to go down to Baltimore, the strip club scene was popping, for music. So it was like A Boogie, Fetty Wap, a bunch of different people, but you didn't really have an avenue for showcases as much. Like you had them, but you had to really dig deep to find them because everybody was just trying to put artists, in a strip club. And for me, it was like, I don't really make strip club music. So when I was down in Baltimore, which is a very artsy scene, when you go down there, you they have a whole Baltimore, arts district. And literally, if you have any type of art, any type of every single day. And when I saw that, I was like, wow, why don't we have these type of spaces, in Jersey? And I said they didn't exist, but they weren't as prevalent, like I said, because it was, strip club scene, certain type of sound. So when I came back, to Jersey, I was looking for, those type of spaces. And, there was a couple of open mics that were happening, like once a month or maybe like every other month. And I was like, all right, well, I want to, put something together so we can start, a platform to be able to, number one, host some type of event for anybody with any creativity musically across the board. And then also at the same time, and coming from an independent artist standpoint, I was, losing a lot of money, and, I really didn't have any guidance. I didn't have anybody to sit there and say, you know what, if you have an idea, I'll sit down with you and help you how not to go broke, but at the same time, complete whatever project you want to complete. So, for me, I'm always going to be artist first, and the company that I have, True N Livin, is always going to be artist first. So our job is to just be able to try to assist independent artists, especially those who are, new to the scene or new to the industry and wanted to be educated and understand it. So within the last 2 years, we've done that through showcases, we've done that through consultation, we've done that through, creating events and tours, or just through, regular dialogue, helping to promote others and helping to get them or their music and their platforms in front of the eyes of other people.
That's so key, man, because I remember, I think any creative remembers that first rookie year when they just came out, and you don't know whose hands in your pockets, if they're there for you, if they're against you, if they're only doing it for the money. So, when I linked up with you guys, and my good friend Paul Mars told me about you guys, and he was telling me all the things you had going on, it was a great thing to see, because I see how consistent you guys are. I see that you put on for all different types of artists, and it goes beyond just the performance. So I thought
Mm-hmm.
that was great too, because as you know, as someone who takes education very seriously, you really have to dive deep as a creative and as someone who's in this field to navigate. You also know what you're doing and how to how to even move around, because it's like a jungle. You don't know what's going on, and sometimes there's a lot of gray area. And I think it's great that you guys are really shining that light for the artists, and then staying with them, and keeping them going and keeping them motivated and informed.
Yeah. And I think that, like, at least from my standpoint as being, you know, in education and always committing myself to research, you know, it was very difficult as an independent artist just to even get a lot of the answers that you needed, you know, early on. And, you know, I thought that was unfair, because it's like, if I have some information that I think might help the next person, you know, I would try to charge them. You know, I would try to put them in a position to where I'm going to make money off you. And it's like, you know, if you were able to just, you know, enlighten me just a little bit, I might now feel comfortable to collaborate with you on, you know, different things, opposed to just thinking every time I come to you, you know, you're just trying to make a coin off me, and going to give me a little bit in return. So, you know, we just try to, you know, be able to at least service artists in a way that they can see it as very genuine.
It's shining through, man, and it's great to see the consistency, even during a time now where, you know, people throwing events, it's taken a major hit because the venues are closed. People can't really be next to each other. I see you guys have really still kept the consistency and really engaged the artist community with different ciphers and contests where they could win money, and things where they could really participate and meet new artists, and you learn every time you do something like that. So it's great that you guys are really still putting on and not letting the situation out there affect, you know, the platform. So it's great to see, man.
Yeah. And we pride ourselves on, you know, being able to be consistent. We didn't know, I mean, when the pandemic happened, we didn't know what we were going to do. And then we saw people using, you know, the Instagram platforms, the IG lives, and we were just like, you know, let's try, you know, to adjust with the times, because that's always, you know, what you have to do in this type of industry. And I mean, it worked out. You know, it didn't work out, I want to say, I guess financially on our end, because, you know, instead of meeting the artist halfway, we actually had to take, you know, another further step, because we can't really, like, you know, charge for events and bring people in the door like we used to.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it helped us keep our head afloat. So
That's, yeah, man. And I always say, you know, we're in a creative industry. We even have to get creative being creative, because sometimes one thing could change. You know, if you move to a whole new city next month, as you know, being in the Baltimore scene, then coming to Jersey, you could take what you've learned from somewhere else, but based on your environment, you have to adapt. You know, maybe people aren't always ready, or maybe you gotta mix the genres up based on the population that's there, or maybe they're not ready for it, and you have to find a way to get the word out. So it's cool that you guys are still being creative with creating and you know, recreating yourselves.
We're trying our best, man.
It's cool, man. It's so you get, you know, as someone today, it's kind of cool that we're doing this interview today, because I saw on Instagram you said something. You were like, you know, this happened 2 years ago, and I got my career. I already had my career, so I wasn't really all caught up with the paper.
Yeah.
But like, for anyone that doesn't know, my friend right here, you got your PhD, man, and like,
Yeah.
I think you're the first person I've interviewed who has one.
Yeah, it was definitely something that I had my eyes on for the most part of this decade. You know, I was the first person in my family to go to college, and it just opened up an opportunity for me to be able to network with people and try to find resources that were going to be able to assist others. And with the type of music that I make, they kind of go hand in hand. So getting more education helps me understand the community, you know, the underserved populations. And then going to get a doctorate, you know, helps me understand how to do research. And then, you know, being able to teach in itself at a university, at least for me, is kind of like performing. Every class you have an audience, and then it's kind of like you have something that you're gonna give them for them to leave with. So it's kind of like rapping as well. But when I graduated, to me, the most important part was the transcript, because the transcript is what you can prove you studied and you've completed. So when I was living in Maryland and I moved to Jersey, the school I was going to at the time, Morgan State University, had my previous address in Maryland. So they mailed the degree to Maryland and I never got it. So I was like, all right, but I graduated and, you know, I got my transcript. As long as I can get a job, I'm fine. You know, one day my mom was like, where's your degree? And I'm like, I don't know, I'm waiting on it. And then maybe like 6 months after, I called and they're like, oh, we mailed it to your old address. I'm like, all right. And they're like, if you want to get another copy, you got to pay. It was like $40. But at the I was like so not concerned about it that I was just like, look, man, like it is what it is. I'm not concerned about this time. And it just kept like, you know, losing my train of thought about it. Then like during this pandemic, I was like, all right, well, I got some time. You know what, let me, you know, at least have it just in case, you know, whatever happens. And so, you know, the degree finally came in the mail today. Doctor, you know, of philosophy, because I teach and, you know, I got pictures of me at graduation, stuff like that. But I've never had actual physical proof to say, you know, this is my degree. So to have that was like, you know, this is real dope.
That's really cool, bro. That's history, man. To be able to just, you said you're the first person in your family to even go to college. And then to take it to not even the master, not even the bachelor's, and be like, okay, I'm cool. You know, to just, I know people have really put blood, sweat, and tears into the masters. So to then go another level, it's amazing, man. And congrats to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And it's cool if, from what I see, you did it for the right reasons. You didn't just be like, it's not just a promotional tool to show people when they come in your office, the paperwork. Like, the groundwork is what matters with you, and you're out there doing the groundwork. You're out there, you know, doing social activism and putting things together, and the proof is in the pudding, and and you're putting in work, and it's kind of just cool that you were so caught up working and actually out there in the game to even worry about like like the jersey you're wearing. You're just like, you know, I'm playing the game, I'm here. It doesn't matter that the paper's here. I'm already out here. I'm certified either way.
Yeah, man. I might have to shift that a little bit because, you know, even my master's degree is in like a safe deposit box. Like, I haven't framed anything, you know, like I put my master's degree and I'm like, this looks kind of rough. Like, I might need to get this like reupholstered or something. But, you know, I'm gonna start, I think, you know, adding more value to those things, because, you know, with me, my type of personality, it's not really too much that excites me. You know, even with my accomplishments, I'm just like, I'm always focused on the next thing. You know, what can I do next? What can I do to level, you know, and even more, you know? So getting a job here or getting this degree or, you know, getting this type of set, well, how can I, you know, bring it to the next level? And I think that I really have to do, for me, a better job of kind of basking in those moments and understanding and sitting and acknowledging my blessings, you know, opposed to working myself constantly, you know, so they don't get taken for granted.
It's it's the balance, right? And I hear you, man. Me, I love productivity. I love just making stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
after a busy day, I have more energy. So it's like this productivity addiction where, like, if I get a lot done in a day, I like, it just feels good to see proof and to see something finished, and you want to keep going. So I definitely feel your pain, man. But it's like going to the gym. It's a good pain. You know, you're growing,
Mm-hmm.
and that's great, man. So I've had a few people reaching out to me about the album, and they were, curious about what was it, where did it even come from, like the title, and I know you've been pushed, you got the merch, all black, no sugar,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that relates to coffee, but I know you, as someone who's deep, maybe you could go a little deeper and tell us about the title, and tell us about the whole kind of how the album came to be.
Got you. So first off, shout out to Stereotype. You know, for the all black no sugar merchandise, you can DM me or go to their website to get the merchandise. But the title in itself for my album is Coffee and Chemtrails, and when I'm in front of people, they're always intrigued about the title. And I want to be able to, like, I always have tried to at least let people know that, right? And, aligned with, what about the next thing? There was a time where I really wasn't getting any sleep. So I was like dependent on coffee, like every morning, coffee. And I would have like sugar in my coffee, milk. And eventually I was like, I don't need it to taste good. I just needed to get in and start doing stuff so I can stay productive. So I would just keep drinking black coffee, to the point where I was like kind of like addicted to it. But if I didn't have coffee, I couldn't be productive. So coffee was something that I kind of aligned myself with, because every single day it's like, this is how I have to start my morning off. Whether I'm working, whether I'm rapping, whether I have a show, got to start my day with some coffee. And then I've always been this person that wanted to be so aware about the things that are going on. And, I had this small stint when I was in college that I was so obsessed with learning information that I started to be what you would call like a conspiracy theorist. So I started to just look at all the different things that like kind of bring us down and stop us from being able to reach like this level of like eliteness. And I was very fascinated with like, chemtrails and the things that they say, for those that don't know, is that in certain communities, they have airplanes coming over certain communities, spraying down chemtrails to attack or diminish the health of those in some of the less thriving communities. So when I think about myself as an artist, I'm always speaking about things that are like tearing people from underserved communities down. But in order to continue to stay productive, I have to have this thing that I'm addicted to, which is coffee. So when I look at the album, I just think about my life, and the way it goes. So like you'll get tracks like All Black, No Sugar, right? You get tracks like 9 to 5 or Die. You get tracks like, or skits like Coffee Break, to where I'm talking about, some of the things that I'm experiencing, but at the same time, I'm also trying to give at least some type of hope on how we're going to continue to move or push through, some of the things that are subconsciously bringing us down.
That's some real stuff. That's I guess that So for anyone that may be listening, that maybe they're in like a limbo. They're like, okay, well, I'm here. I feel kind of, maybe they're caught up in the generational. Someone was talking the other day. They called a financial guy, and they were like, I'm part of a generational poverty, not generational wealth.
Mm-hmm.
So here you are, you're pointing something out of kind of breaking cycles and breaking patterns, and even like looking deeper into it, the conspiracies, and even just doing the research and being like, well, why is things this way? What if someone wants to go this way? Is there a block there that's stopping them, and what is that thing? So what could you tell someone that maybe wants to break maybe a generational, I don't want to say curse, but like a generational thing where they're like, okay, well, I want to break this pattern, I want to break this cycle? What advice could you give to someone like that wants to be the first one that goes to school, or the first one that breaks that?
I think the first thing you have to do is to just do the education. Trying to educate yourself as much as possible as to why you and the people that have groomed and nurtured you are in the position that they're in. I have conversations with people who I'm very close with and people that have been in some of these circumstances. And a lot of it comes from the fact that it's two different things. I see it says connections unstable. How are we doing? Are we good? We good?
Yeah. Maybe just
Good?
rewind a little bit for us. The connections part.
Okay. So, gotcha. So there are two things that you have to be focused on. So the first one is the process of doing something over and over and over and over again until it's just part of your life or a second nature. As a doctor of social work, we study psychology as well. And, one of the things that they talk about is like Pavlov's theory, to where, they had a group of dogs and they would feed the dogs. And every time the dogs would come, they would ring a bell, the dogs would eat. And every time they would feed them, they would ring a bell. Eventually, they would ring the bell, but not feed the dogs. And the dogs would still drool thinking that they're about to eat because the bell is associated with them about to eat. So in the same sense, we are conditioned, to those type of elements based upon whatever situation that we're in. So if I'm growing up in a household to where nobody in my household goes to college, eventually my household or my family members are gonna think that college is something that we don't have to. We've been accustomed to just working and graduating. Number two, the second term that I like to use too, especially for religion. I ask my students all the time, like, what's your religion? Did you choose your religion or did somebody choose it for you? Majority of the time they say, well, I grew up in this type of household, whether I'm Catholic, Baptist, Muslim. And because I was born, I didn't have a choice. I was just brought to church, brought to the mosque, brought to, the temple, wherever you're at. And I kind of learned these values and learned these traditions and never questioned them. The same thing is for, individuals that are in circumstances to where they may feel they don't have the support to get out of or to break that chain. Once you start to understand that, then you're able to say, okay, let me try something different. I know mom, grandma, great-grandma all did this and they were able to survive. However, they weren't able to lay a foundation that was going to elevate the generations after them to a level that they never thought of before, because they may not have been comfortable taking these chances because of the conditioning of the people before them. So in order to break that chain, you have to take a chance. You have to understand why your thought process is the way it is, and then start to better yourself to try something different in order to get different results.
I love it. I see this, you know, as someone who grew up. Hold on, I'm gonna just stop my video for a second. So I guess my next question is, just say all you see is one thing. Like all you see is your friends and they're all out partying, or they're all out playing video games, and no one's really in your circle pursuing really anything. So you know it's out there, but you don't really have any proof. You see Jay-Z, you see Beyonce on the screen, but you're not touching anyone that's out there really making a difference, or living their purpose, or following their dreams, or successful, that you know. How do you find a different, path? Because if maybe all you see is someone out there, everyone they're only partying, and it's like, and some people I know growing up, they still hang out with people they grew up with because they grew up with them, regardless of if they're good for them or not, and I think it's that tough thing. It's like, well, I grew up with them, they're my family, how do I leave these people behind? I think it gets tricky. What do you say about, like, spending time with certain people and things like that?
So for me, I am for what you would consider the hood, and I've always prided myself on having a duality to be able to be in a professional setting and a hood setting. I'm in the urban community because I want to do work. I'm not going to be able to understand the urban community if I begin to separate myself from it. So when it comes to my circle of friends or the people that I was around, anytime I was in those spaces, I tried my best to be able to bring a different perspective on certain things that we have continued to discuss. That was something that I wanted to focus on in the groups of people. I'm in a fraternity, Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated. Times in your life where you were miseducated, and if you became enlightened, you have to. It's a moral duty to share that new knowledge that you have. If people around you aren't getting it at first, it is then your job to take the next step and actually implement it, and then come back and show them, hey, this is what I did, and I got this result. You should try it as well. If they still can't buy into it after seeing it with their own two eyes, then it's time for you to take a step back. But if you can prove it to people, the majority of the time, they'll at least entertain it, and then some will start to subscribe to it.
I like that, because I believe in, we have certain amount of time in the day, but I don't really believe in just cutting people off and being like, oh, I grew up with him, oh, all he does is play video games, I'm not going to talk to him anymore because he's not a winner. You know what I mean? I think we put on a lot of these self-help videos and YouTube, and it's like, only spend time with people that are successful, and only spend time with people that are killing it. And it's like, I don't think, I like your point of view, because I don't think that's necessarily, I think as you grow, you're going to meet people in those fields, and, you know, they do kind of become your friends too. But I also believe in being there for others, being a mentor for others, having mentors, and then having friends that are just, you know, you're on the same level in terms of maybe where you are, maybe in your success or whatever it is. You know, I think I forgot who said it, but someone was like, you need people that you could help. You need people that could help you in their way. And then you just need people, you know, people in your life that you're just friends with. And
I
I
like
believe
that.
I believe in the balance too, because I don't want to only be around people that I could learn from, because I feel unbalanced. I like being there when people want to learn from me too. I don't want to just hang with people that are where I'm just soaking up the knowledge and they're looking at me like, oh, only Dave wants to do is learn from me. Like I like being there for others and having hour-long convos with friends that want to hear everything I have to say to help them. So I'm all
Mhm.
about that too, man.
Yeah.
And I think that's just reality. You know, we all grow up. I don't really know anyone that just came up with a silver spoon and, you know, they had everything. And now that's, you know, everyone I know, most of them, they've come up in hard times, and a lot of them. So I think you need that balance, and I think it's important what you said to show proof that you know you made it happen. And I think you being living proof of change, then people get inspired, and then it's like, you know, they'll do what they can with it, you know, and then they could fall on, you know, they could rely on you for more information.
And
That's
I
dope,
think I
man.
think an important thing that you mentioned too was just about like, you know, the self-help videos and stuff like that is, you know, all of that is cool, but you also have to have some type of filter with it, because it's like living in a digital era and a social media era, nobody really likes to highlight, you know, or post or bring to the attention of their followers their losses. The majority just talk about their wins and post their wins, you know, but those losses help you to get to the point where you can win, you know. So what I try to do, especially, you know, in my music, you know, is in my wins, because like you said, not everybody is born with a silver spoon in their mouth, and we live in this era to where everybody wants to be self-made. But it's like you had to have help from somebody. You had to get advice from. You had to have consultation. You had to have somebody, you know, give you some type of somewhat of a loss because they believe you in order to make it to the next step. You know. So I think those are things that we can ignore as well, you know, because when you do that, you know, you don't allow people that might be experiencing hard times to think that they can rise above it. You know, talk about
I
those
agree.
losses too.
Bro, it's crazy. I totally agree. Cause bro, I remember losses like they were yesterday. Like I may say, hey, I've had maybe less losses, so maybe I remember them a little bit more. But bro, like the losses that I have, man, like they're like stains in my mind, and not in a bad way. Or that, you know, they just left a mark in a different way.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think about it, I'm like, oh, you know, I dated, you know, I was in this situation, and what could I have done? And I'm like, you know, I was there and I learned from it, and here I am still today, you know, thinking about it. I know I can't change what happened in that moment, but I could change my next move based on what I learned from that. And even if I make a mistake again, like I'm gonna learn again. I think it's important to just always be a student, no matter how far
Mm-hmm.
you are, bro. And I love that it looks like no matter how many, you know, plaques you put on your wall, whether they're music or or school, you're still a student and you're still open to learning, and you got to be willing to keep learning, man. And how do you feel about just being a student of the game and just learning?
I think it's funny that you asked me that, because during this pandemic, with all the time that we had to really sit down, and you and I have conversed on Instagram, just about like, some of these strategies that I've been working on, and like digital marketing was something that like I never understood. And I felt that I had to like find me a publicist, or find me like somebody who does digital marketing, or, is in that type of field. And whenever I want to add something to my, I guess my artistic brand, I try to see if I can do it first. If I can understand, if I can do it, I'll do it. If not, I outsource and have somebody that, can assist me with it. And I really tried my hardest during this pandemic to like reach out to people, to help me understand digital marketing. And with some consultation, eventually I just was like, you know what? Sit down, watch some videos, kind of learn some strategy, and then implement them, write down the results, and then the things that work, duplicate it. Things that didn't work, make some adjustments. And I think having that open mind to just saying, this looks hard, but if I sit down and I'm patient enough, it might not be as hard after trying and seeing what I come up with. If I fail, I fail. I'll ask somebody else for help. If it works, it's something else that I can add, to my YouTube, Google, even just something that you want to learn, they may be the expert in, is definitely very humbling, because it makes you go back. Like, even as a doctor of social work, it's like, all right, well, I'm not a doctor of digital marketing, so I got to sit down. I've never stepped foot in a business class in my entire life, but I'm a co-partner of a business. I've never sat in an event production company my entire life. I never sat, in a audio engineering class my entire life, but I can mix and master. So it's like, I never set foot in a graphic design class, but I sat in YouTube this. So, when you're sitting down and, you're open to just learning things, you're open to being patient on, building on your skills and building on yourself as, whether it be a business owner, whether it be, a rapper, or whether it be a music mogul or entrepreneur, you always are going to be able to be a student of the game. The person that we can always look at is Leo Cohen. Leo Cohen was one of the top execs at Def Jam at one point, and he shifted from, guerrilla marketing and finding DMX and Ja Rule and Jay-Z and, putting together tours and promotion for them, to now it's YouTube. Everything's online, digital, and we had to make videos a thing. Like, if you'd have told Leo Cohen that 20 years ago, he just said, get out my office, But him being ahead of YouTube music right now is like, even at his age, I think he's like 60-something years old, you gotta continue to be, a student to whatever you want to be, or consider yourself the expert in.
That's amazing, bro. I'm all for it. And I always say, just you got to put time on your side. If whatever it is, and it's great. It's great to hear, your outlook on that, because I love that. I don't know if you want to say hashtag or just that mantra, but like student of the game, just whatever that thing is that matters to you, like indulge in it. And bro, literally in the last 3 weeks, bro, I probably spent about 50 hours just researching equipment and products and different ways to make merch, because I was like kind of hitting some creative plateaus in terms of making tees. And I'm like, there's got to be new ways, you know. Oh, could I do this from the crib? Do I need to use this printer over across town? And bro, doing 50 hours, and you know, I've put in, I don't even know how many thousand, but just to do that extra 50 in the last 2 weeks, man, like it's made such a difference. And like the new merch that we got coming out, you know, we've come up with stuff, True N Livin and Stereotype, like, so I'm just now excited, bro. Like it's like kind of like a rebirth with, but like I was saying it to the other day to my lady, I was like, I kind of feel like the kid with the ideas, but then the dad that could collab with the kid and sponsor the idea now. You know what I mean? I don't know if you ever saw How to Make It in America. You ever see that? It was basically guys like Kid Cudi. It was him early on acting, and they started a clothing brand, and it was on HBO. I think it's on Amazon now, Amazon Prime. When I started Stereotype, watching that lit a fire under me.
Yeah.
And there was a part where they were talking to a guy who was just strictly business. He wasn't coming up with any ideas anymore. It was more or less, what do I fund? And he couldn't come up with new designs. So he was just trying to find the next person with the design. He's like, bro, he was talking to the kids. And I remember this scene more than any, I don't really remember scenes really of any show. I kind of, unless I rewatch it. But this, I always remember, he said, there's going to be a time where like you have all the ideas in the world and none of the money. And then there's going to be a time where you have all the money in the world but no ideas. And for me, when I heard that, I was like, you know what? Like, I always want to be a student of the game. I always want to surround myself with people that inspire me. Because I never want that to happen. No matter how far, you know, if I have a come up, I always want to be surrounded by people and help them come up too. Because I saw that, and he was literally just trying to like get over on their ideas, and they were feeling a type of way about it. And I was like, I'm never going to be that dude. I always want to come with that same energy that I started with. And like now it's a blessing, bro, to just do something 12 years and to have the know-how to get it done, but then, you know, still have that innocence of getting a new idea and then bringing it to life. So like, bro, that show was something for me.
Yeah, I gotta watch that.
Yeah, it's called How to Make It in America. And that's great, bro. Like, bro, just it's been a great talk, man. And if anyone's out there, you got to listen to Coffee and Chemtrails. It's everywhere, right? It's on all the streaming platforms.
It's streaming everywhere. I actually got 3 videos. Well, it's actually 1 video out right now. No, I'm sorry, 2 videos out right now. The Fade Part 2 and Breathless. And I got some more visuals. So, you know, like I said, YouTube right now is my main focus, and, you know, getting people to look at these visuals, and I got some more on the way. So before I get into, you know, my next projects that I'm dropping, you know, I'm going to be hitting people with more visuals. So, you know, if you follow me and go to the link in my bio, you can get everything. You can get videos, music, and as well as merch. So
that's real, man. And where could people find the True N Livin and learn about that platform and how they could get involved or just learn more about it?
So if you have any type of, you know, projects or ideas that you want to bring into fruition, you know, whether it be working on an album, whether you want to be working on branding, whether you want to work on, you know, putting your own events together, it's truenlivin.com, you know, as well as True N Livin LLC on all social media platforms.
Definitely check out True N Livin. It's a machine for creatives.
Yes, sir. We are the machine if you need it.
And it's for artists of all ages, more like youth artists, or is it from what I know, our convos and events I've seen, they've been for younger artists, right? Like in the college or a little
Yeah,
before
yeah.
college.
We've mainly been working with primarily adults for the last 2 years, but now we're starting to expand, to the college scene as well as a younger scene. The benefit concert that I had 2 months ago, which we raised $1,500, dollars for a young men's group in New Jersey. They have a group of young artists in their teenage men group who we're actually going to start like somewhat of a junior with Beastie Bars with. So, we're definitely, looking to expand, and for all ages, as long as you got a dream, we can beat a machine. Might have to get that as a shirt.
Yeah, man, I really respect your outlook, your hustle, and your pursuance of education and supporting others in the community. And you definitely left us with some gems. And where could
Likewise,
people?
brother, likewise.
No problem, man. Where can people find you on the socials and the sites?
You can find me everywhere at Quis Chandla, QuisChandla, all social media platforms, as well as all digital streaming platforms as well. Same name.
Yo, man, keep up the great work. And true shout out to the whole crew of True N Livin and all the great people out there doing what they do. And thank you, brother.
You too, bro. Thank you. And thank you for having me. Let's keep the good work going.